All right, we're back. We are live at the Trinity Sportsmen show, and I am joined by the New Hampshire Shed Hunters Club, as we were tagged in Facebook. We've got Rob Richardson right here. He's a guy with a big burly beard, and we've got James Smith, and we're actually right next to each other, and we have some show and tell things for you right now. And you can see some antlers hanging out on the back of the couch. But I figured these guys would be great to interview because it's about shed hunting. It is shed hunting season.
It surely is.
Yes, it is.
Not with the weather right now.
No, it's been a bit of a damper. So let's talk a little bit about you guys. What's the club all about?
Well, Rob can explain it more. Rob actually founded the club, so he'd be able to.
Yeah, well.
Okay, Rob, what's it all about?
What happened was I was shed hunting a lot since I was probably 8 years old. So early on when my wife and I, we weren't finding anything on shed hunting on the internet. And I thought it would be great to start something for New Hampshire itself, so people could share their pictures of their sheds that they were finding. Yeah. And so we started it with pictures, and they just started coming in. It was great. There was a lot more people doing it than I thought at the time.
Yeah.
So we did for maybe 2 years, 3 years, and it got a little away from me. I started growing a little faster than I thought, and job was taking over my life, so I let James take it over.
Okay. And
he's kind of grown it to what it is today, which is a lot more user-friendly, I should say, than it was.
Okay, that's cool. Now, you've been down here at the Trinity Sportsman's event many years. We've talked before, and this is the first time we've had you on the show, so I want to say thank you for joining us on Facebook Live on the Big Buck. I guess it's Big Buck Registry TV now.
It's kind of cool.
Usually we're all audio-based, but this is kind of neat. So the sheds that you're finding in New Hampshire, we know people that are shed hunting in Iowa, in Illinois.
Totally different world.
Ohio. Yeah, totally different world. And there is no shortage of antlers on your display over here.
No. Like 90% of them are from New Hampshire. We have, I think we have 2 or 3 that are on display from
I have
Saskatchewan, but a lot of them are strictly New Hampshire deer.
Yeah. No kidding. All right, so what do I need to know as a New Hampshireite trying to shed hunt in New Hampshire?
Well, you're going to need good shoes.
And I see you have some heavy-duty steel-toed boots on.
Yeah, these are some of my boots that I wear while I'm out in the woods. They're actually a composite toe, but they're comfortable and they're lightweight. And
you have some gaiters on there.
Yeah, definitely gaiters. It keeps the snow out of the inside of your boots.
Can you show the audience what we're talking about? There you go.
Yeah, because you're going to do a lot of walking.
Right.
You're going to be covering a lot of ground because the deer, they haven't yarded in a long time. We haven't had the snowpack that we've had in the past, at least down in the central part of the state where we do our shed hunting.
Right.
So the deer aren't yarding up where they should be.
Yeah, like last year, we had hardly any snow.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's been weird. We had the gradual snow, then it melted down to just about nothing. Then we had this massive 18-incher.
Yep.
Then that's melted down. Then today, on April Fool's Day, as we're all trying to come to the show.
Joke.
Yeah, it's
we get 12
plus inches of the heaviest white stuff. Now, that's going to melt away fairly quickly, but there's never been any period of time all winter long where that snow has been any deeper than 8 inches deep for the most part.
No. What I've been focusing on this year is south-facing slopes, of course. It's getting the heat up so they can digest their food.
Right.
But I'm looking for south-facing acorn flats or side hills because in my area, I'm in the Sunapee area generally. Yep. Mm-hmm. We're finding that there was a heavy mass crop this year, so the deer are on those south-facing slopes in the oaks, and you're not finding a ton of them right there, but you're finding the sheds that you're finding there are spread out there because there's no snow. They're walking a long ways.
Okay.
Technically, what we try to do is we try to focus on one family group or one buck and we try to find his.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're focusing on a one buck that you know is in the area.
Mm-hmm. Basically, our target buck.
That's your target buck, and then you
find others inadvertently a lot, but
interesting.
We definitely find a target buck. I mean, generally, we're working on a project now called the Quest for 200. That's through our other group, the Granite State Hunting Adventures.
Okay.
And we're trying to find a target buck that we can generally guess who's going to be around 200 pounds to go after. So a lot of times we're going to find a lot of our sheds where we're finding his. But it'll be smaller antlers than they are the deer that we're looking for. We ain't found him yet, but I know he's there.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you're targeting a single buck. It's almost like targeting a single buck during deer season that you want to shoot or hunt. And the shooting may or may not happen. The shed find may or may not happen, but that you know what you're after. How do you identify that deer? Are you using cameras like you would during deer season, or are these carryovers from your hunting experiences?
Basically, all through last spring. We'll just go last spring. Last spring I ran, I think it was close to 20 cameras around this area. And I've been able to, between looking at thousands of pictures in this area, I've been able to pretty much, I can tell what deer is what deer when I'm looking at it by features on it. So I have 2 deer that I really want to get. So I'm going to target that deer. I followed that deer all through deer season, and I know we made it. So come this shed season, I'm going to go after that deer. That's basically what I want to go for. I'll be happy to find any other sheds, but I know that deer made it through deer season. With the winter we've had, I'm pretty confident he made it through this winter. So that's what I'm going to target once all the snow.
Okay, so you are using a lot of cameras.
I use a lot of
20 cameras. That's a lot of cameras.
Yeah, and I've got 15.
Yeah.
So you use 35 cameras between the two of you. Is it all in the general area? What's the span on that?
Oh, they're spread out.
Like I hunt one town because we used to live right next to each other, but now we've separated. He lives a little bit further away from me now. So I basically run the cameras in that area that we used to hunt all the time. And now he runs his cameras where he's living now.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to find 2 different spots, and then we can kind of rotate back and forth. If the deer activity isn't good where we used to hunt, we can move to the other area.
Yeah.
But we work a lot as a team. I mean, the deer that's hanging up right there, him and we tag team track that.
Yeah.
I was doing the tracking, he was doing the shooting. So that's where that one comes from.
Gotcha. So you're in an area, you're doing mostly Sunapee. Are you in the Sunapee area as well?
No, I'm in the Unity Lemster area, so up on the mountain a little bit.
Okay, so you're a little south of Sunapee.
Yep.
But and both vast lands for the most part, and both areas are not known for their deer density in New Hampshire.
Oh, that's
right.
No, yeah.
Now that's New Hampshire compared to other states. We don't have a large deer density or deer population, but you're talking about even within the state of New Hampshire, some of the less densely populated whitetail areas. Period.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yet you're still finding sheds.
Oh yeah. It's scientific. I mean, you got to know your quarry. You got to know where they're hanging out, and you can have the place I hunt is roughly 1,800 acres. Okay. On that 1,800 acres, there's probably 400 or 500 of that acre that gets used a lot.
Right.
And so then you can go in that piece and you can cut it up into pieces itself and figure out where your best chances are to find those antlers. It is luck. It's like bass fishing.
Well, sure. I mean, everything we do out there is a little bit of luck.
But there is some scientific data behind where you're looking.
Okay.
South-facing slopes are definitely number one. That's especially if it's a food source on that south-facing slope.
So when does shed season kick off for you typically?
January 1st.
January 1st.
We've been doing it for 3 years. That's me and him. That's our first shed hunt that we do. We get together January 1st. Like this year, we went to a moose yard.
Yep.
We knew a moose yard, but a lot of deer that I talked to people, there were still deer holding 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they're holding late this year because of the amount of food there was in the woods.
Okay.
They're in good shape, and there's a secondary and a tertiary rut that you're going to have, so that will keep the testosterone levels up in a deer for a longer period of time. They won't drop until that testosterone level drops, or they get stressed out.
Right.
So, and the winter hasn't stressed them at all.
Right. So there's no stress on them this year. There's no stress on them last year. Well, it should be another really good deer season overall. But so your shed season, you're starting January 1st. Then you're getting in. Is there a time frame that you go till that you're like we're done, or is it to go right into deer season?
Generally, turkey season generally kind of slows us down.
I can see why.
So we'll hunt turkey until noon, and then we're shed hunting.
Okay.
Until dark.
Gotcha.
It really depends on how fast it greens up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been out in June in some spots to go, but
we found sheds in August. If you get into a spot that is all evergreen, a spot they may have gone in during a storm and dropped an antler, you're still going to find antlers underneath there. You're going to be able to see them from a distance too. It's what we'll call it a CRP field because people know what that is, but an overgrown cattle field or whatever, you're not going to see those once it greens up.
Right. Okay. And this year, where the snow has come, gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the third round of where it's come back again.
Yeah.
Now, how do you handle that? Where the winter's so weird? Like last year, there was no snow for the most part.
There's a lot of griping that's going on.
This is up and down, up and down.
Yeah. Basically we'll find places that we've always found sheds on those places on the south-facing slopes in certain areas.
Okay.
And we'll go back there. We have some spots that we shed hunt every year. We might find one antler. We just like the spot, so we go back. And you never know. You may go back one year and find the fabled 200-inch antler, in there. But basically, with the snow going up and down, I'm just going to go back to the places that I know they were between January and March.
Okay.
That's where they were feeding.
Do you keep statistics on what you collect?
I know every single antler that I have, where it came from, and generally what deer it came off from.
Okay.
So I don't have it written down. I think we do have some of the stuff on my computer.
Right. Do you have an idea of like how many sheds you typically would find in a season?
My very first shed season, I found, I think, 25.
Wow.
My best is 40.
And that was 12 in one day. And
okay.
I haven't had another year like that since then, but that was my first.
As a matter of fact, what year was it? I just had a year that I think I found 2.
Yeah.
That was last year.
I was going to say, so, I mean, you got to have times when you get skunked. You got to have bad years. You got to have good years.
Mm-hmm.
But 40 is a lot.
40 is a lot.
40 is a lot.
I didn't work that winter. So if
you work shed hunting.
I did. I mean,
at the time.
If you were someplace, like say out in the Midwest, you could make a living at it, at least for half the year. But yeah, I found 40 in a year, and that doesn't count the moose antlers that I found. That was just deer.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So there is a season there. You have good years, you have bad years. I'm amazed that you only found 2 last year. But I guess maybe it's because they were so spread out because there were no.
Yeah, 100%. And we all have certain areas we like to shed hunt, and you can go 3 or 4 years in one area and not find anything, and then the next year you go, it's bonanza time. They're everywhere. So, I think that killed me last year too. Was finding certain spots. We had a spot that when him and I first started shed hunting together, we had a spot. I won't name the place because it's kind of our honey hole. We went there every weekend, and we didn't shed hunt almost anywhere else. So that killed us that year too.
Well, that was my next question. Do you keep your honey holes and your spots secret like you would a good deer hunting spot?
Yeah, I do. I have one real good spot, and that's the spot I found 12 in one day. And it actually turned out to be, it's not that good anymore because the neighbor that lives across the street saw me carrying out a bunch, and now goes in there with a snowmobile, so I don't get to get as many out of there anymore, but I do have a couple now. Like we have a moose one right now that's relatively close to here that I could go in there and find 2 to 3 on our trip in there because I know that bull's there or another bull and another bull's been there. So
So one of the benefits to shed hunting in New Hampshire that you don't have in other parts of the country, although you have more whitetail, is you get to find moose sheds.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, that too has gone down in the last couple of years.
We've had a problem with the infestation
but it is
winter ticks, right?
Yeah, the winter ticks and the brainworm, I think.
Yeah,
is
the
also
brainworm too. That was another problem. Let's take a look at some of the sheds that we have on the back of the couch here. Now, you said that you know where every shed came from and what deer it came off of.
Yep.
Let's take a look at this one.
Okay, so this is the first shed that I started really getting in on, focusing on one deer. This deer was called the Dragon. We started finding his sheds back in, I think, 98. And I have every single one of his sheds.
Dragon.
Yeah, it was a dragon. He had a spot that he liked to hang out in. We called it the Dragon's Lair, my brother and I. So, but he's not impressive. He doesn't have big tines or anything, but it's almost 6 inches of mass. So.
Yeah, it's a pretty thick beam.
He was really wide.
Tines. Right.
I've saw him 2 or 3 times during deer season. Didn't get a shot at him.
That's going to be a good deer. I mean, that is a good deer. You'd be proud.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it doesn't have to score 200 inches to be something that you love.
Right.
So, but that was the one that started it off.
Okay.
And then I found every single one of his sheds after I found the first one.
Wow.
And then he died of old age.
No kidding.
Never did get at him. He's a dragon. You can't get dragons, right?
Can't kill dragons.
So.
All right, what do we got next?
I got what got me into shed hunting. This is my very first set.
Okay.
First time ever walking a trail. That's my first thing I've ever come out of the woods with. I was only in the woods for 10 minutes.
Yep.
And came across these, and it got me hooked ever since. And this spot has become I actually got another year, his shed from the year before that I found that was a year old, but also I actually got the deer that
Merry Christmas.
Rob actually found it for me. This is actually the buck that came from, and it was a deadhead.
Really?
And I have the shed. So this is the sheds that I showed you before, where not the year before this, but the year before that, and the year before this, the guy across the street actually has the sheds too.
Wow.
So
the sheds you just showed me were
deer.
Was this deer?
Was this deer.
Wow.
And that's 2 years before.
Crazy. So, 2 have died of old age.
Yeah.
Well, no, he actually got shot.
Yeah, he was shot.
Yeah, my wife and I, we run blood tracking dogs. We're Fish and Game licensed. And this deer here got shot by muzzleloader and disappeared on the guy. And for some reason, he never called us. I mean, we heard about it afterwards, after the fact. He gave us a description of the deer, and this deer was found probably 300 yards from where he shot it.
Oh, devastating.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you have to get a dog on a trail?
We've done up to, I believe she was telling me today, 72 hours.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was a much smaller window.
No, not as long as it doesn't rain.
Right.
I mean, even with the rain, you can still get on them if it's early enough.
That's a heck of a deer not to find.
140, 48 inches, I think Roscoe scored him at. So.
And it's another, it's pretty beefy rack too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty neat. So you have a history with this deer, finding the sheds and then actually finding the deer.
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy.
It was bittersweet.
It is bittersweet.
I hunted that deer for 2 years, and it was bittersweet. I shot a deer that's probably bigger than the set that I showed you that same year. And I went in and found the sheds, and I'm like, wow, there's another big deer in here.
Right.
And I started hunting. and I get glimpses of him and never get a shot. And then
Gotcha.
the guy found the sheds. I'm like, okay, so he still survived. And then talking to him, I didn't see that deer after rifle season, muzzleloader season. Didn't see the deer at all that year. And then that winter, I was talking to him, and he's like, your deer is sitting down at the taxidermist shop. Some guy brought it in. And I'm like, we were talking about it. So I go down there and look, and we match up the guy that also with the other sheds, and I'm like, wow.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I worked out a wheeled and dealed with the guy to get it. And
Yeah.
I didn't tell him until Christmas, and it showed up at his house.
Yeah. So it was pretty good.
That's awesome. All right, what else we got back here?
All right. Well, we got the that match set. We got this is the number in the New Hampshire Shed Owners Club. This is our number one shed that we have.
Okay.
This was found in 1972 or 3 in Keene.
Really?
Yep. I bought it. Actually, neither of us found it, obviously, because I was 3 and James wasn't even alive yet.
Right.
Obviously. Old buck that found it down near the cornfield there, near where Keats Tractor used to be.
Wow.
And I entered it and brought it to him. He scored it. What does it score?
I think it's like 76 inches, 76 or 77, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's a big shed either way.
Yeah.
This one here's got a really good story if you want to hear it.
Dude, we're all about stories.
All right. When I found this by accident. And by accident, I mean I had found a really big set of 8-point sheds near a brook. And my daughter and I were actually trout fishing the brook, and then I found the sheds, and I said, "So I got to come back here during deer season."
Right.
So there was a really nice crossing going by where that trail was, where the sheds were. So I climbed up on top of the little bank and was watching that trail. Well, I went to sit down, and this G3 poked me in a place that the sun don't shine. I actually had to go get stitches. It went into my Gluteus maximus. So,
ouch.
But it's a pretty nice little 5-point side, and even though I was bleeding like a stuck pig, I still picked the shed up and carried it out of the woods and was pretty proud of it.
That's a visual I can never get it back out of my head.
No, it's nothing that you want to live by again. No. So.
All right, you got
So I got a set here. If a lot of people that I'm friends with know my wife does not go out at all. And I took her out one time with me, and it's actually the same spot I showed that other set. She found this very first set of hers. First and last set of sheds that she'll ever find because she'll never go back out.
Okay.
She did that with turkey hunting. Shot a 22.5-pound bird and never will do it again. So
like drop the mic right there. Boom,
yeah,
done.
yeah. She won't do none of it no more.
What else does she have to prove? 22-pound bird.
Seriously. It's about as good as they get.
Yeah, I don't think they get too much bigger than that.
Okay. So on the side here, now this is what's so cool about New Hampshire, guys. You got to check this out. So you can shed hunt in some of the best whitetail states in the country, and you'll do tremendously well. And certainly these guys know what they're doing in New Hampshire, where the deer densities are pretty slim. But then we have this other special thing that happens in New Hampshire, and it's not across the country. It's just certain states. Check this out. We're not small guys here, and that's a moose shed. A moose shed.
It's just a little one.
A little one.
It's the top 30 of the New Hampshire record book. So.
Is it really?
Yes. It sits. I think it's number 30 or 31. Yep. Scores 71 inches.
Wow.
71 and 7/8 is the exact way it scores.
And it's heavy.
It's about 60 pounds.
So. What part of New Hampshire does one find?
I will only say.
I'm not going to ask where. I don't want coordinates.
Coos County.
Okay, that makes sense. So Coos County, if you're not from New Hampshire, if you don't know New Hampshire, that's the northern part of the state, right? It borders Canada, and it's really well known for its moose density.
Yes.
That's if you pull a moose permit in New Hampshire, you want to go to Coos County. That's
A1 or
pretty
A2.
much right. Yep. That's number one on the list, and then you the further south you get is the less popular. But this is not unusual up north.
No. The sheds that we find down in this part of the country are much smaller.
Right.
A lot of them don't even have a lot of palmation. It's just I don't think the nutrition is there for them. There's not as much balsam fur as there is up there.
Just tremendous. I mean, it's just a beautiful specimen.
Oh,
it's so impressive because it's so big.
It's a great find. This is a snowmobile find.
Snowmobiling.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Somebody went out early in the morning, was driving along, and found it on the trail.
Wow.
So
moose shed their antlers just like deer. It's fantastic, and it's definitely one of those special things about New Hampshire. So
it's a renewable resource.
It really is.
Without
it truly is. Truly is. And without conservation efforts like through hunting, it wouldn't happen.
Not at all.
Right. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show and
thanks for having us.
Hanging out on this little television thing we're doing. Live internet streaming television. And man, I've been meaning to talk to you guys for a while, and this is the right format to show off the stuff.
Oh, definitely.
We can't do that in just audio, but
no.
We nailed it today.
We can hit them against the table, but it doesn't give the same effect.
Well, Rob, James,
nice meeting you.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you,
guys. Stay tuned. We might have one more guest, and if not, I'll come back on and we'll catch you in just a little bit.